Evening all. John Barclay here. Welcome to another episode of URC. What are you laughing at? I'd like to start.
It's like you're a policeman. Hello.
Tom
Good evening.
And, Stephen Ferris, lads. We've actually not spoken about the weekend for the first time. Normally we come on and chat, but I don't know what happened the weekend. How was it?
Good.
Very
Yeah,
enjoyable.
happy with it. Happy. Yeah, I think we're back to that level. We dipped a bit last week. I think weather probably helps a little bit, but I think we're on the upward curve now in terms of standards. So, happy, John, which is Welsh for happy.
I know. I lived there for 5 years, Shanks. Like tough language to learn. I just forgot there. We've got, as always, head coach. We've got Ivan van Rooyen. I hope I said it right. On Zoom, on Teams, on the screen. Ivan, how you doing?
Yeah, evening, gents. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time. Just quick, and we were chatting about this before we came on. Tough game of the weekend, 37-39. Just before we go into the game, because we've chatted to a few South African coaches about this. We've chatted to some of the guys over here that travel to South Africa. Can you just explain what you're saying a little bit about the psychological versus the physiological difference which you guys found? Because we asked you, do you find the benefit of altitude? But you said, no this weekend, essentially.
John's obsessed with altitude, just so you know.
I am. I never played it, but when you watch the games, it looks like people, like we're talking about, can't even run in it.
Yeah, I am as well.
It's it's the jelly leg, can't breathe. Look on the faces. We had a couple of those this weekend. Yeah, so I think obviously we train and live in it, and it takes you 2 weeks to adapt. So we were overseas for 3 weeks. So coming back, we've experienced this, in our opinion, very similar to what Ulster experienced it. And one of the coaches this weekend said, and I think it was Dan McFarland, it's the difference with altitude is if you add sun and heat to it, it's a different animal. So 9 o'clock at night, your lungs will burn, but it's cold and it's okay. But when you add a bit of sun and 30 degrees to it, it's a different animal. So mentally, it's what it is. You can prepare for it, but you can't replicate the feeling. But well done to Ulster, scoring 39 points in that circumstances. I think we were generous by handing them 3 easy tries, but it's still a good win for them. Obviously, we're not happy with the result, but back home, second week back home, at least the energy level should be a little bit different this week.
Ivan, do you view it as a missed opportunity? You can tell there just by talking about the soft tries. Do you view it as a missed opportunity, or do you factor in as a head coach, you've had to travel, Ulster had to travel as well, but do you view it as a home game, especially after 3 good wins on the road? That would have been a massive win for you guys.
Yeah, especially just the quality team that Ulster is. I think there's a reason why they're in the top 2-3 consistently in this competition. Also very competitive in Europe. So we weren't accurate enough. Even post-game, I think exactly what you say is we even feel post-game we let that one slip.
You also had a really good break, I thought. When I say break, like a trip to Scotland and Wales. How much do you boys and the squad take from that? Because they were 3 really good wins, hard fought out wins. And were you able to sort of do any team bonding? Were you able to celebrate? Because I thought it was quite a good achievement for you boys.
Yeah, thanks. I think that first win against the Ospreys in the dying seconds kind of feeling really did great for the team and the squad and the morale and all of that. We felt against the Bulls in game 1. We were really competitive for 60 minutes. We kind of lost it in that last 20 minutes. So we knew after the preseason, as a team, we could be a lot more competitive this season than previous season. And sneaking that first one on tour gave us that bit of belief. I think we were decent against Cardiff, especially in that first 40 against probably the worst conditions we've played in. And then I almost feel the same. Edinburgh and Ulster, that can really punish you on attack. I think just the desperate scramble from our side, a bit of physicality against Edinburgh, I think that's probably the best one we've had as a team in 2 years. And then letting it slip against Ulster, so I don't want to say you could have been 4 or whatever. I just think as a team, we believe that we can compete, and just happy with the guys to put it all out there every Saturday.
I think you've got a real strong pack and some big carries there up front, but a few players really impressed me so far. And Kutsia at 15, Van der Merwe was excellent against Cardiff defensively on the wing, and Henko van der Beek. I mean, these boys have really, I feel they've upped their game this year. And whether that's just because there's a bit more confidence, whether it's because you're winning, but for me, they're real standout players.
Yeah, thanks. Kutsia he was at the Lions for years, went to Japan for a short stint, and went to Benetton. Him and his family, it's almost part of the Lions furniture. So to have him back and him playing good rugby is obviously awesome to see. And we've got, I think, our 4 under-21 players, Henko van Wyk at 13, Ron Venter at 7, Jordan Hendricks our 10, whether he's starting or on the bench. I mean, he's vital in our system. And Kieran Horn on the wing, they're supposed to play under-21 final this weekend against the Bulls. And for them to play the way they do, I think tells you where we are as a group. We're a little bit different than some of the other South African franchises, which the shopping window and the burst and the wallet is a little bit different. We believe developing from the inside. We really got a good, strong, solid, you guys would call it academy system. We call it a young under-19, under-21 system. So to get someone like Andries, which is a little bit older, to bring that experience, but also having this group of youngsters that's really exciting and busy lighting up the world. That's an awesome experience.
If you're looking for money, we've got John Barclay Enterprises there. I'm sure if you're nice, he'll chuck a bit of money in the pot.
We'll take it offline, John. Thank you.
We'll take it offline. I've got business opportunities for you. I just want to ask one more question, even on that, and you kind of touched on the young guys, and Shanks and I were at the game against Edinburgh. Venter, Van Wyk, Horn. These guys are quality young players. How are you going to keep hold of them, or is the reality of it that you can't?
Well, let me answer it this way around: is hopefully we're busy creating something so special that they don't want to leave. And I know at the end of the day, it's money and it's a business. We managed to keep the previous successful Lions team together for about 5-6 years, from 2013 to 2018, and in there we managed to win a Currie Cup, play 3 Super Rugby finals, develop 15 or 16 Springboks out of the team, and we honestly believe potentially that this could be the start of the next cycle of that. So if we can manage to keep them for anything between 4 and 6 years, I'll take that.
And just on the game at the weekend, so there was 3 of your players that started against Ulster in Belfast last season that started against Ulster on Saturday. Has there been a bit of a shift in recruitment, or is it just, as you talked about there, these young academy guys coming through that are now filling those spaces? Has there been a fresh approach to recruitment after last season?
Yeah, I think that there's been a bit of a shift. We felt that as a group to go forward and almost be more competitive for a longer period, we had to shift the group a little bit. We always knew that we're sitting with an unbelievable group of young players. There's probably another 10 that could feature within the next year, pretty similar quality to Van Wyk and Venter and Horn and all of them. So we looked from within a little bit of a longer view to really build and get quality for the next 2-3 years instead of just in the moment. But also saying that we lost Vincent Chichuka, we lost Carlos Hari to the Sharks, and managed to get Rooyen Smith, which is really experienced, Andries Kutsia, which is really experienced. So it's that mix between the correct position and experience and letting these youngsters loose.
Nice one.
What about this weekend? You've got Glasgow. What are you working on? What do you need to sort out from last weekend?
I feel we're a bit frantic, a bit erratic at home. We almost want to play this unbelievable brand from minute one instead of. I think we've showed it on tour. If you're in the mix, minute 60 to 70, work rate, desire, all that beautiful things that people can't buy comes through. So I think it's for us, I don't want to say conservative, but just be a little bit more clinical that first 30 minutes, especially. The try Balakoon scored in the first minute, just just bad movement from our side, not really IDing the situation. So I think if we can start better that first 20, 30 minutes, especially this weekend, it'll put us in good stead.
Ivan, we won't take up too much of your time. You said it's a nice cool night over there. So
the dog's hungry, I think.
Yeah, we're talking about whose dog was that?
It's the beagle. She's smelling the meat.
We'll let you go and feed him. Ivan, thanks for your time. Really appreciate it. And
Thanks,
good luck
Ivan.
this weekend against Glasgow.
Come back again is what I was going to say at the end, but
Maybe you're not the host, so I'll decide.
no, I know. Yeah, it's your gig, mate. It's your toy set.
It is. We'll dive into it. Stevie. Here's a question. If that game had been 10 minutes longer, stupid question because it's not, would Ulster have still won the game?
I think they would have. It's a weird one because in that heat, at that altitude, it's almost like the team that didn't have the ball looked the most likely to score because the team with the ball would make a mistake, then there'd be a counter or there'd be a penalty. You know, it was just because when you in the heat, it's just easy to get up and drop back into the defensive line. Well, trying to get round the corner, get your attack shape sorted. The wingers, like the Ulster wingers, Balogun and Rob Little, were absolutely out on their feet. It maybe took them 50 minutes to get their second win. But you know, somebody like Dwayne Vermeulen who gave that pass to Rob Little there, he just cantered the whole time. It's like he was used to it. He was just in third gear the whole match. But like Ulster, I thought, showed a bit of grit and determination of closing that game out. And it was, for me, the turning point was the yellow card, just on the stroke of half time. A try by Billy Burns, and afterwards there was 2 tries, and then to rub more salt into the wounds, Rob Herring got a try. And then the fight back began, and then they started to play rugby, threw a couple of 50-50 offloads, which stuck. A couple of really nice tries. But yeah, the Lions, I think I totally agree with Ivan there. Both teams looked out on their feet. Like, it was like watching a game in slow motion the first 20 minutes. And unless you've played in that heat and that altitude, you can't really relate to it. But no, it was a good game, a high scoring game, plenty of tries.
I really like Henko van Beek. Quality. Like, just, you know, sometimes you look at a player and you just know there's power there, and other times you look at someone and you think you're like a drop lasagna, you know, like Jim Hamilton or something. You know, there's nothing there. You just fall over. There isn't. You know, you're just tall. Yeah, go straight to ground like a mole. But he just looks
so dynamic,
powerful, dynamic, like really good carry. And he's young as well. But he did get a yellow card, so that was where the damage was done. But I really like watching him play.
Oh, good game.
Chat. Who've also got next year? I've had a mind blank.
Well, we've got the Sharks.
So yeah. Chances this week against the Sharks?
Big game.
Well, do you know what? Like, it's an interesting one because I think the team selection from Dan McFarland at the weekend there, I almost felt like he played a weaker side against the Lions and was like, you know, obviously they got the result, but you know, saving a stronger side for the Sharks because obviously they're going to come up against a lot tougher opposition with, you know, all the Springboks back in the Sharks squad, and obviously the demolition job that they did in the last 20 minutes against Glasgow. So it's, I think obviously Dan McFarland's got phase 1 of this trip on the right side with the big win, but it's going to be a completely different ball game. Like Rory Sutherland's probably going to start, Marty Moore's going to start, international props, Rob Herring as well. And then the wingers might change. You know, Ethan McElroy, emerging Ireland, he might come back in and say Balogun will probably stay on. Although he didn't look like he was 100% fit at the weekend. James Hume here's fit as well, so he could possibly start at 13 alongside McCluskey, give Luke Marshall a break. And obviously John Cooney will be ready and raring to go. So it'll be a much changed Ulster side, but I give him a chance, because they're playing some good footy.
You look a little bit like Luke Marshall, I think. You could be like his bigger, older brother, Stevie. I think
me
similar, yeah, a little bit.
Me,
see a hairline.
Penny's drop. That's a massive win for Ulster. I think that's huge. I think that was such a big win. I don't think you can't underestimate
I don't think they're playing that great either yet. Yeah, I think they're playing okay. And I mean that as bizarrely as a backhanded compliment, because I think everyone was giving Leinster a hard time at the start of the year, and guess where they are? Of course, the top of the table. Ulster haven't really, I think, got a third, fourth gear maybe at times in gears, and they look pretty comfortable. I think Roy Sutherland will add a bit to that pack in terms of, I think they maybe lack some ball carriers in the tight five. Would be my criticism. I think they're well drilled. I think he'll add a bit of dynamism, but yeah.
Just on him, John, you think that's a good signing? Obviously, it's a bit of a stopgap for possibility of Fitzroy coming in next season. Do you think it's a good signing?
Yeah, I think he'll go well, mate. If he can stay fit, like I say, he's good in the tight. Not he's not what he's renowned for, but he can carry the ball like not many loose head props. We forget he was in the British and Irish Leinster. He got capped in one of the tests. Good operator, but I think if he can stay fit, but yeah, I think he'll do well for them for the rest of the season. Add something a bit different. Dan McFarlane knows him well, knows how to get a lot out of him. So yeah, good bit of recruitment there by Dan and the guys there. We'll move on to the Cardiff game. Shanks, you were there?
The derby, yeah, I was there.
How was it?
It's good. It was good. Stevie hammered it a bit last week, saying how'd you get up for the Welsh derbies? But
did you see me getting hammered on Twitter?
See you, mate. I liked it. I retweeted it.
I know.
I asked him to write it. But no, it was good. It was good. 4 tries, bonus point win for Cardiff. Some really good performances. I thought Josh Turnbull is rolling back the years. I think he's 33, but 34. Maybe he's 30. I don't know. But he's playing really well. Really well. We spoke about him last week or a couple of weeks ago. But just his combination with Thomas Young. So you've got, they're 2 good players over the ball. He's been second row, back row, second row, but just really good, like defensively, really good hitting rucks. And sometimes you need those types of players. You can't all be like hanging out, wanting to carry all the time. You need players that will hit ruck after ruck. I think he played second row at the weekend, but I think he did. But he was just immense, and his partnership in the row is good, but also in the back row is good. Thomas Young put in a massive performance again, backed it up from the Scarlets game, and scored a wonder try. And the Dragons were just Dragons, really. Put up a big fight, put up a decent fight, but just discipline let them down. Like, they kicked a lot of ball away in good positions, and the kicks were too long. They had Cardiff under a lot of pressure for about 20 minutes in the second half. And then they just, Jared Rosser gave a penalty away 5 meters out from the line when Cardiff were under a lot of pressure, just for being offside, not being behind the back foot. And then a couple of minutes later, they were back down in Cardiff's half, and then someone was taken out. Will Rhodes, I think, took one of the Cardiff players out, and a line out was really clear and obvious, another penalty. And he just, like, when you get chances like that, when teams are under pressure, you just can't let them off. And they did it too many times. They're certainly better than last year. I do think that, the Dragons, but they're still making a lot of, I would say, silly errors. And Cardiff capitalised. There was Jared Evans played well. Rhys Carey scored a try. Botham scored a try. James Botham scored a nice try. So there was some really good performances from Cardiff. But the pick of the bunch was straight off the kickoff, and Jared Evans sneaks through. And I keep talking because I'm hoping the clips will come up, but it doesn't look like they are. So
we've got a clip of the. You spoke about it, I think, in the game, actually, the yellow card.
Yeah. I don't think it was yellow. I think it's in the process of going down. He dives, which happens when you ankle tap. For me, that's the process of going down. He gets yellow carded, but you can't make a tackle on the floor. Really harsh for me, that is.
Yeah, harsh.
But I suppose if you're reffing by the letter of the law, which often you don't do, because you've got to have a bit of a feel for the game. You won't see. I don't think you'll see many refs or many players get yellow carded for if that was to happen again. Personally,
yeah. Bit
I'm not
unusual.
ref.
And no news coming out of Dragons. Dean Ryan saga continues.
Dean Ryan saga continues. Do you know what I think the Dragons really need? Is a 12 that can play a bit. A 12, not just to set platform, but you can play off. Because they've got some really good wingers. And Angus O'Brien is decent at 15 as well. Attacking, not so much defensively.
Like a Bundyaki or something, like a Bundyaki, somebody like that.
Yeah. There's Owen Williams would be a great signing for him. He's at Worcester at the moment. Obviously, Worcester have gone under, so he's probably looking for a club. And he was touted a couple of years ago as being like the next 12 really for Wales, but gone off the ball a little bit with injury. He was at Gloucester as well, but they need someone that can hold defences and.
Was he at Leicester as well, Shanks? Yeah.
Sorry.
Was he at Leicester as well?
Yeah.
Well, was he? And he came back for a spell, then went back again. Did he? Is that right? Am I thinking of the same guy? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. He was at Gloucester. Went to Japan. He was at Worcester, but they're crying out for someone like that, I think, and it would just add a new dimension to their attack and their shape.
Tough to, maybe you're right. That's it. That tough to recruit the Dragons if you don't know who your director rugby is.
Yeah,
not easy. But we'll move on before we dive into that too deep and throw Dean Ryan under the bus anymore. Who will stay in Wales? Ospreys against the Stormers, 16 each. Bit of a damp squib of a game. It finished quite exciting, actually.
Oh, we'll show clips of this, shall we? 6-3 half time. But to be fair,
bring back Ben.
That is a real decent try considering the conditions. You knew when the rain was going to come down, and it's a Deso pitch, so it becomes really greasy on the surface. Like footballers like it because the ball skims across, but when you play rugby, it's solid underfoot, but it does become super greasy. So it was a close game. This could have won it in right on the buzzer. There's a chance to win it. But do you know what? I think the Ospreys will be quite happy with that. The current champions, a strong team. Probably Ospreys aren't full of confidence at the moment, but I think they'll take more from that draw than the Stormers.
They halted the Stormers' winning run. Does that count? No, probably not. They didn't lose.
No one wins with a draw, really, do they? I reckon draws in rugby we should just have like penalty kickoffs. Every player has to do one from somewhere. And drop kicks as well, because drop kicks are a lot harder than place kicks.
You were playing in that game where they had you were, weren't you?
I'm going to show you.
Cardiff.
I got my phone.
Screensaver.
Oh no, that was for a reason. That was for a reason. It was.
Was it?
Yeah, someone was sick, so he said he'd do it for them. So there we go, Stevie.
Okay.
Stevie feels bad now.
Yeah, good. But I thought that as well till I found out the reason. Jordan Crane, wasn't it? Kicked the winning goal.
Oh yeah, Jordan Crane. Yeah, Jordan Crane. Just on that Ospreys game, just listening to John Dobson after the game, like talking about the weather conditions, and like Tom saying that the Ospreys were probably happy enough with the draw, even though the Stormers were leading for so long in the game. It almost felt like Dobbo was also happy with the draw. Like it just felt like watching his post-match interview that it was a game that could have went either way, really tight, but he was happy enough to get the 2 points and get out of there.
Yeah, like you saw the rain coming down pre-match. He might have gone to Toby Booth. Draw? Should we shake on it? Draw?
Yeah.
Everybody's happy.
Manny LeBock's rushed that, hasn't he? You've kicked a drop goal. Not no one here has kicked a drop goal, but it looked like.
Yeah. Do you know what that's what you say in commentary, don't you? Like when he misses a kick, he snapped at that. Whatever that means. Just pulled it.
It's like when you hit a terrible shot in golf and they're going, "You're too fast. Slow it down.
Slow it down."
You lifted your head. No.
Keep your head down. I'll follow the ball.
Keep your head down. Yeah.
Anyway,
back to the rugby.
Anyone play golf? No.
Played last week. Played last Thursday.
I think golf season's over, mate. I don't like winter golf.
Big weekend this weekend, right? Let's get back on track. One of the best teams in the league, the Scottish team, shall we? Glasgow versus the Bulls. Bills versus Glasgow, actually. I mean, I watched this. I saw the result, watched it back. This is a quality try, actually. I think Glasgow defensively are a bit all over the shop, and you have to be if you concede 40-odd points. But they were actually in the game until about 60 minutes, and then
that's what I couldn't believe.
Yeah, it was like a one score game until 60 minutes.
Yeah,
and then power and more power, and then if you got power, just so some of the soft touches, some of the skills. Fassi scored a wonder try off the back of a chip at the end. I thought Glasgow gave a decent account of themselves, probably.
Yeah.
It won't be much sort of condolence to them, but I think
tapered off towards the end.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the squads. You're going to beat the Sharks in probably one of the probably one of the favourites this year with Etzebeth back.
What was he like? How did he play?
You see his first carry?
No,
I've seen that on flipping heck. It's on social.
Run over Richie Gray, and then he's run over Jamie Batty, and then he's like grabbing folk trying to bring them with him. Just horrible, honestly.
He's up for it then.
The scrum. I think Glasgow's scrum was like, I want to say on that app that you use, Shank, is like they were like 50%. Line out was, I think they lost 7 line outs. They came away from the game with 5 concussions and a broken jaw. So that gives you a bit of an insight into.
You're making me sound dodgy. An app I use for what?
That's a website, mate.
Do you know who's good? Chamberlain at 10. Like,
yeah,
real balanced runner.
Yeah.
Like, when you say people have time on the ball.
I reckon you could play 10 behind one of these packs.
Yeah. Well, Andy Good made a career out of it. So, yeah, I probably could. You're right. But just like, doesn't panic. Sometimes you catch a ball and you panic and like you do everything in double the speed. Yeah. But you look at him and he looks cool. He glides when he runs, great balance. Everything looks like it's in slow-mo with him, but it's obviously not. And he's got pace as well. I love watching him play.
Obviously not. I like how you clarified that, Shanks. It wasn't in slow-mo. Edinburgh game, 53-8. Anyone watch it? Or anyone see the highlights? Of course you did. You're professionals. But how bad are Benetton? Edinburgh.
You tell us, John. You tell us how bad they were.
Look at McBurney here. Hooker trying to catch up there. Duan van der Merwe was back for Edinburgh. Scored a couple of tries. This is just a run.
How good did he look? We were just talking about Etzebeth. Another big name back at a club.
He's I think it's only his second game this year, obviously, with being out of contract now and leaving Worcester. But yeah, I think Edinburgh scored 41 points in the second half, 44 points in the second half. I think that's what you get from Benetton. Probably really good at home. Obviously, not great away. Edinburgh played well. Here's a question, and we're chatting about earlier. I think, or that's not a question. I was saying something there. Do you think? And no one replied to it on the WhatsApp group. That Edinburgh have the best back three on form in the league?
Not far off. Yeah, not far off.
Yeah,
Darcy Graham he's got everything. He's fast. He's great on his feet. Never dies with the ball. Constantly moving the point of contact. Strong. People really struggle to get him down as well. Just keeps going. Buffelli has gone to another level, I think, this year.
Yeah, I think the problem Edinburgh are going to have is they're going to lose.
Good.
Van der Merwe is going to go. Darcy, there'll be the back three for Scotland over the autumn. But yeah, I think they're super impressed. I think Darcy's, for me, one of the best players in the league at the moment. Like, just exciting. Doesn't seem to do much wrong. Every time he doesn't, you feel that he could get hurt, and I don't mean that badly because he is so small compared to the others. But he's pretty hardy.
I'm with you on that because he's always got his leg heavily strapped. I always think that's never a good sign if you constantly got it strapped.
He used to jackal those, didn't he? He always used to jackal. Yeah. He played a lot of sevens. He was good over ball, and I've not seen that much of that to his game because it's not what you're paid to do, is it? Just score one.
Imagine Mike Blair just having to go at him every time he goes for a jackal.
I think I say imagine Mike Blair jackling, and that would never happen.
What are you doing?
We'll move on to another Welsh team then, Shank. Scarlets, back on the horse. Decent win. You thought they were playing Benetton until today, but they played Zebre. What did you think?
Did I? Good. They massively needed this. Scott Williams is good. Like he's there, just straighten up the line, just a shoulder ball to McNichol, and this one's nice. It has to be flat, has to be powerful. Hits Lousy down the right hand side, and an easy try for Costello. And he just offers so much at 12. Scott Williams, like people say, who's like an underrated player, who could have made it to another level that didn't. And often, like I say Henson, but he did win 2 Grand Slams. But Scott Williams for me is another.
Yeah,
if he could have stayed fit, he'd have been the 12 for. He'd still be playing now for Wales.
Why is he not getting picked, Shaq? He's been.
He's
been
first
injured
game back. Yeah, but we spoke about it last year as well, about him getting in the squad. I think because they look at him and he's not that durable. Like, you need a bit of durability. Otherwise, you're going to come in, you're going to do all the training, you're going to get injured and go back out. And whether or not that's an excuse or not, if you're playing well, you should be in. I think that is one of the issues. I think training is probably an issue as well. Not being able to train like the rest of the team, because a lot of players get older and they have to look after their bodies and limit the amount of running and impact you do and weight you do. So that's the only reason why, because last year he was by far the number 112 and wasn't selected. So that's what I put it down to. Sam Costello scores 2 tries. Biggest one was straight after half time. They needed to come out big and they needed to try and put Zebre away. So, don't give them any hope, basically. Try and put them to bed. And then you can get on with the game and enjoy it, because you're too far ahead. And they did that, and it was nice play. Like we always see off 12, they get sucked in, and Costello's got enough pace to get through. And he had a big game. And that's probably one of the reasons why over the last 3 or 4 weeks to start the season he's been selected over someone like Jared Evans, because they're both similar players, not because of the size, but because of the way they play and how much of an attacking threat they are. So that was good. The big talking point was, again, discipline. And Sam Liausi gets a red card, another card. So I think that's 5 reds. 5 yellows and 2 reds in 5 games.
It's another second row as well, Shank. So Fafita is obviously banned for 4 weeks. So that's 3 weeks. So Lefty's got his ban now. Lousy's going to get banned. The 4 away games on the bounce: Connacht, Leinster, Stormers, Lions. Like, that's, you almost go, oh yeah, it's Dwayne Peel's fault. They're sitting, close to the bottom of the table. And like, we all know Dwayne Peel's a really good coach. He's a good lad. He's trying his best. But like, if your players are getting sent off, getting banned, they're not they don't have the biggest second rows anyway. Like, that's an area of the Scarlets game where you sort of questioned at the start of the season, would they have big enough lumps in their pack to mix it with the best? Now their 2 big lumps are going to be banned for the next 4 weeks. So,
I don't want to stereotype either. But when you often sign South Sea Islanders, the way they play is aggressive. They want to go out and they want to put big hits in time after time. There's not many soak-up tackles. They're not that passive. They're just aggressive players, which is great because you want to dominate collisions. But sometimes, the line is so fine between legal and illegal, even more so in today's game. And you get something wrong, you go for a big hit, you time it just that split second wrong, and there's a potential you're going to get a card. And he does. There's no dipping. He's gone in with the shoulder, and it's quite a clear red. It's a clear red in today's game. Similarly to last week when Fafita, that was probably even worse, that one, because that was just lining someone up in a ruck. And I don't think a lot of it is down to individuals, Stevie. You're right. It's you look at some of the yellow cards. It's not system errors. It's just players either seeing a bit of red mist or just having brain farts. Just getting off the ground too late when the ball's in the air. Tipping someone in a ruck. 2 cards they've had for deliberate knock-ons. I mean, the next person who's going to get a deliberate knock on for the Scarlets and carded, I'm sure will be fined heavily. It should be. That's why we do.
There's a good chance they could go 0 from 4, Shanks, with the next 4 games that Stevie just highlighted there. But
Maybe, yeah.
Scarlets, I think. Good win, though, as you'd expect.
Yeah, it was a good win.
You don't put Zebre away at home, then there's big alarm bells going
14
on.
men you had to play with for a long time as well. So
yeah, happy with that. And Josh McLeod and a few other guys, Dane Blacker going in interesting ahead of Gareth Davis, Costello, and Josh McLeod going into the Wales squad. I know we're not here to
Josh McLeod. He's a favourite of Wayne Pivac. No, he's not a favourite of Wayne Pivac. Wayne Pivac gave him a chance and he injured himself before his first cap. So he's going with why he picked him originally and what he can do, and he's deemed to cover more positions, which you need to be a utility player, and that certainly counts for him. It's counted against someone like Thomas Young, but McLeod can play 6, 7, and 8, so that's why he's in. And he's a good player. And I feel sorry for him that he didn't get capped and he injured himself last year. So I hope he does well. He didn't.
He ruptured his Achilles, didn't he? After being named 20 minutes after getting named to get his first cap at training or something.
Yep. One of the worst things you can do as well.
Yeah, been there. Leinster, Connacht, Stevie. Not much to talk about, really.
Little to talk about, John.
Bet we've got loads of clips though.
Yeah,
all the clips. He's
2
an Irish
minutes into the match. 2 minutes into the match, Josh van der Veer, Colin
baller.
try. So, this was the highlight of the game. A maul and a break off. Very poor kicking the whole way throughout. And there was a really good moment for Connacht in the first half where Riley tried to throw a ball over the top. It should have went into the breadbasket of Mac Hansen. It didn't. And they paid the price. Like they couldn't get on the scoreboard. Do you know what? I was looking at the game, and when the rain came down, ball got a bit greasy. I was like, this is the perfect night for Jack Carty just to kick the corners, kick the leather off the ball, kick it really well, pin this Leinster side back. Jeez, he was all over the place, missing touch again. Like, I don't know how many times last season, off a penalty, he kicks the ball and it doesn't make touch. Like, that infuriates me as a fan watching the game. Like, if you're on the pitch and that's happening as a forward every single week, you're working your nuts off and the ball just doesn't get put into touch. And then when it does get put into touch, messed up at the tail of the line out or a couple of phases later, Connacht really, the good access points into the Leinster 22, but just couldn't execute anything. And it was a really disappointing performance. Andy Friend saying that Connacht aren't far away from clicking. I'm not sure about that. I didn't see too much attacking threat. Their attacking threat was actually non-existent. Carty was really struggling to get any momentum, and I think it just highlights how important Bundy Aki is for this side. Like as a vocal point, as just a tip on for Carty to give him that go forward, for him to step into first receiver, for him to make a game-changing tackle, to flip a game on its head. Like, it is so important, and he's not going to be back, I don't think, for another couple of weeks. So, disappointing night. It's all the Connacht fans, I'm sure, went home bitterly disappointed. But yeah, not a game for the rugby purists, that's for sure.
Well, maybe these guys didn't go home disappointed. Munster got a win on the board against the Bulls, 31-17, Stevie. My initial reaction was, how bad were the Bulls? And how disappointing have the Bulls been in the last few weeks? Yeah,
it probably took them 60 minutes to get rid of the beer that they've been drinking over the last couple of weeks, because they were all over the place. This is Chris Smith off the bench, Jeremy Loughman, who's now involved in the Irish squad, who played reasonably well. 2 pick and jams from Coombs, the Byrne try, something similar. Like, they tried to play a bit more attacking rugby, a bit like if you watch it, the Ireland, shape, where they have the pot of 3 forwards. You've got the inside-outside option, and then the out-the-back option. Carberry played a lot better at 10.
Yeah.
But, he had so much time in the ball. Like, players were herring onto the ball and then having 2 seconds once they received the ball to, make a decision or it was just all over the place. And like, fair credit to Munster, the last 10 minutes, they dug in, defended their line really well, penalty after penalty they give away, but they were resolute and held out. So yeah, like, it's gonna, I don't know what you think, John or Shanks, but like, Munster over the last 4 or 5 weeks have shown very little. And now they've got to face Leinster in the Aviva, so it'll be a better benchmark to see where they're at.
Definitely. That is the benchmark. Like, they had a good win and they deserved that, but they had been quite poor. You can't shy away from that for the first 4 games, you know, without a win. So it's good to see them back, but you're right. This is the real test now this weekend. This is the big one for me. This is the biggest game of the weekend for me, I think.
Yeah. Leinster fully loaded, won't they? There'll be full noise.
Last one before the internationals as well, so they want you know, all the big dogs will play.
Noise it up because we used to have Europe, didn't we?
James Lowe still out injured. Hugo Keenan still out injured. A couple of young guys filling in really well in the back three. So, but
I just look at the halfbacks with Leinster, mate. Though
Yeah.
I just look at the halfbacks. You know, without
Gibson
if
Park.
Sexton's playing, Gibson Park, they're another level. Great band as well.
We'll be able to see it this weekend. That's all the games, lads. We can move on to. Well, I thought we could move on to presenter's choice, but we've just had a message saying we're not doing it, or should we just make them up? No, we won't. We'll do rants of the week first.
You're the presenter. Go for it, John.
Yeah, we'll do rants of the week first. I don't have one other than school holidays. Got kids at home. Why is there school holidays? Pay school fees and then at home. That makes sense.
Rants of the week. I got one.
You don't have to.
No.
He wants it.
Hotels, right? Hotels when you're given an adjoining room and you haven't got someone else in your party in that adjoining room because the noise is really loud because it's just a door and not a wall. And people who constantly let doors slam in hotels, it makes a noise. And I was kept up till 3 o'clock because there was a wedding going on at a hotel I was at. And it was just noise galore, mate. And I went out with my pants. Opened the door with my pants, my little belly, just floating around. And how's
the rig looking?
I had to go. No, it's bad at the moment. But it doesn't take me long to get in good shape, muscle memory. And then I opened the door, and then I saw there's like 3 pretty well-built lads. I come out with it. Anything I can do to help? Hotels with paper-thin walls, all right, and noisy doors. Slam.
Funny you say that, Shank. So I was staying in Dublin after the Leinster game on Friday night because it was covering the Ulster game. I was staying in a hotel, and obviously I checked in after the game like 11 o'clock at night just because we're finished up. I get the last room in the hotel, which is obviously the worst room in the hotel. So I make my way upstairs, going into the room, and the room is above the bar, and it's like an old bar, and like the noise, and right outside my window was the smoking terrace. The noise was going absolutely crazy. So I was like, right, I'll go down and ask for another room. There wasn't any more rooms. The hotel was fully booked, of course it was. So I was like, I'll persevere. So 12:30, everybody gets kicked out of the bar. 3 o'clock in the morning, bit like yourself, right on 3. Oh, here's this music absolutely pumping. It's like, what's going on? The room next door to me, there was a little jiggy going on between, I don't know if it was 2 men, 2 women, or what. So I opened the door, started banging the door.
Doesn't bother me, mate.
Open the door, and this guy comes out in a towel. He's like, all right, mates. It's like, you turn the music down. He's like, yeah, mate, no worries, sound. And he runs back in with a towel around it.
Do you have a bit of chocolate around his mouth like Alan Partridge? I hate it especially when you're tired and you're at a hotel and it's noisy. I complained about my room, Steve, so I got upgraded to a room on like the 14th floor then, and then only one lift was working, and I waited like 10 minutes. In the end, I had to walk up and down the stairs to the floor. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, exactly, John.
Right, I'll get the shit. Presenter's choice. We don't have a presenter's choice, but This keeps appearing, and I want to know what the answer is now. Is cereal a type of soup? Is this an Irish joke or something?
I don't know.
No,
No,
that's
sorry,
not.
it's not
Right,
cereal.
weird.
we've got a lot to ask for.
Is cereal a type of cereal's a breakfast? It's not a soup. Is it a breakfast soup? Is that what they're trying to say? Because you got lots of milk in there, and then you got your Cheerios. What's your favourite cereal? We'll have that.
Yeah, that's the best. Yeah, go, easy.
Chocolate Weetabix.
Oh, Crunchy nut cornflakes.
Sugary. Just right.
No.
Oh,
I like so many.
Right.
I like so many. I probably have mostly sugar-free Alpen, mostly. I do. Don't make me go get it. Big bag as well.
I'm not saying what you eat. What's your favorite? What's your favorite cereal?
I'll probably eat mostly that.
Normally fasting, aren't you?
Maybe with some Cocoa Pops on top with full-fat milk.
That's Chris Patterson's pre-match meal for 100 odd caps. Cocoa Pops.
Was it? Sam Warburton, that was his treat for after a game, was like a full bowl of Cocoa Pops.
You've had 25 pints, he's had a bowl of Cocoa Pops. Samesies.
Each their own, John. Each their own. It's how you relax, isn't it?
Exactly. To each their own. We just quick chat on this weekend's games. We've got the Ulster game. See, we touched on that a bit earlier. Who are you backing?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Sharks, but I think it's going to be really tight. I think it'll be the last 10 minutes. Probably the muscle and brute force and strength of the Sharks will probably pay off. But yeah, nice and tight.
Munster, Leinster. It's got to be Leinster.
Yeah,
Leinster. Lions, Glasgow. It's going to be, well, I'll let you
Lions.
Yeah.
Lions. At altitude, I think. Who else? The Connacht Scarlets at Connacht.
Yeah. Connacht. I think so.
Yeah. Okay. Then you got Zebre, Edinburgh in Zebre. I think Edinburgh will take that. And then we've got Cardiff against the Stormers. In Cardiff. You doing that one, James?
Weather dependent, I think. If it's poor conditions, I think the Stormers will win. I think if it's good conditions, I think the Cardiff Rugby might win.
You think if it's good conditions, Cardiff will win? No, I think the Stormers are used to good conditions.
I just think Cardiff are a better team with
you can't be serious.
Hard ground. Yeah, I do.
A better team than the URC champions.
Conditions were really bad against Lions. They really struggled. But then as soon as you put Cardiff on a decent track, they look totally different because of the way they want to play. I think if it's poor conditions, I think the Stormers win. And I think if it's good conditions, I'm going for Cardiff. Now, you asked me my opinion. I've given it to you. I don't know what else you want from me.
Just give the right opinion next time.
There's no right or wrong answers. And we'll tell you the right answers at the end.
That's all we've got time for, lads. 48
and
minutes.
also, if you wanted to know, it was the Ospreys, who I thought would be the Dragons, all right? You just like leaving Wales out now and again, don't you?
But you see the run sheet we got today. The next segment says Tom closed the show, so I don't know what that means. Tom, close? Yeah, I'll close. You can see all the games on Premier Sports, and maybe next week we'll have some clips for you. Maybe not, but have a nice weekend. Enjoy the rugby, gents. We'll catch up next week.